In 2011, a Google engineer quit one of the most coveted jobs on Earth to sell phone chargers on Amazon. Most people thought he was insane. 12 years later, that decision produced a company worth over $4 billion. This is not a story about luck. It is a story about seeing a problem nobody else bothered to solve, and being obsessive enough to solve it better than anyone. Stephen Yang grew up in Changsha, China, in the 1980s. He was brilliant, methodical, and fiercely ambitious. He earned a computer science degree and eventually landed a software engineering role at Google's headquarters in Mountain View, California. By any measure, he had made it. Google in the late 2000s was the pinnacle: the salary, the prestige, the free food. But Yang was watching something that most of his colleagues were ignoring. Consumers were buying smartphones in staggering numbers. The iPhone had launched in 2007. Android followed immediately behind. Millions of people were carrying these new devices, and every single one of them had the same complaint. The batteries died too fast, and the chargers that came in the box were genuinely terrible. Yang saw a clear gap between what consumers needed and what the market was delivering. Manufacturers bundled cheap accessories because accessories were an afterthought. Nobody was building third-party charging hardware with any seriousness at all. Yang did the math. He made a decision. He walked away from Google. In 2011, Yang founded Anker Innovations in Changsha. The name came from Anker, the idea of being something reliable that people could depend on. His first product was a laptop battery for the MacBook. Not glamorous, not exciting, purely functional. But that was precisely the point. Yang's strategy was built on 3 pillars: Amazon, engineering rigor, and customer feedback loops. He listed directly on Amazon and studied every negative review of every competitor product with almost forensic intensity. If customers complained about a cable fraying at the connector, Anker reinforced that connector. If customers complained about slow charging, Anker developed faster charging architecture. This sounds simple. It was not. Most hardware companies built products and then reacted to complaints slowly through traditional retail feedback chains. Yang built a direct line between customer pain and product iteration, and he moved fast. By 2012, Anker had expanded into portable chargers, what the industry calls power banks. The timing was almost perfect. Smartphone screens were getting bigger. Batteries were not keeping pace. Consumers desperately needed a way to carry extra power. Anker delivered products that worked, shipped fast through Amazon Prime, and cost significantly less than competitors. Within 2 years, Anker became the #1 best-selling mobile charging brand on Amazon in the United States. That was not a small achievement, that was a signal. Yang had proven that a Chinese hardware startup could build genuine consumer trust in Western markets, without a retail shelf, without a massive advertising budget, and without celebrity endorsements. The engine was product quality and the ruthless use of customer data. By 2015, Anker was growing fast, but growth created its own enemies. Established players like Belkin and Mafi had deep retail relationships, brand recognition, and the resources to fight back. Apple's own accessory business was a multi-billion-dollar operation that treated third-party competitors as threats to be managed. Then came the MFI problem. Apple's MFI program, made for iPhone, required accessory makers to pay licensing fees and meet strict certification standards. Some competitors used uncertified chips that triggered Apple's accessory not supported warnings on iPhones. That warning was a conversion killer. Consumers saw it and abandoned products immediately. Anker committed fully to MFI certification, absorbing the cost and complexity, because Yang understood something critical. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild in consumer electronics. The certification cost was real. The alternative cost was existential. But the deeper threat was commoditization. Dozens of manufacturers, many of them from the same Chinese manufacturing ecosystem Anker operated within, began flooding Amazon with near-identical products at lower prices. If Anker competed on price alone, it would lose. The margins would collapse. The brand would dissolve into the noise. Yang made a decision that looked risky from the outside. He invested heavily in genuine research and development. He hired engineers. He filed patents. He built proprietary charging technology. The flagship product of this pivot was Power IQ, Anker's own intelligent charging technology that detected each device and delivered optimized power output. This was not a feature copied from a spec sheet. This was differentiation that competitors could not immediately clone. The strategy worked, but not overnight. Between 2015 and 2018, Anker's revenues grew from roughly $300 million to over $700 million annually. The company expanded beyond charging entirely. Soundcore became a standalone audio brand: earbuds, speakers, headphones. UFi entered the smart home market with cameras, robot vacuums, and video doorbells. Nebula brought compact projectors to a new generation of consumers. Each brand operated with relative independence, but shared Anker's core operational DNA: Amazon-first distribution, relentless product iteration, and margin discipline. In 2020, Anker Innovations went public on China's Shenzhen Stock Exchange. The IPO valued the company at approximately $4 billion. A former Google engineer who had started by selling laptop batteries on the internet had built one of the most successful consumer electronics companies of the modern era. But the real validation came from consumers, not investors. Anker consistently ranked at the top of customer satisfaction surveys in the categories it competed in. In a market drowning in disposable, untrustworthy hardware, the brand had become genuinely synonymous with reliability. What Anker built matters far beyond phone chargers. They proved that the direct-to-consumer model, when combined with genuine engineering investment, could displace legacy brands with decades of retail advantage. They demonstrated that a company headquartered in China could build authentic trust with Western consumers, not through marketing deception, but through consistent product performance. They also rewrote the playbook for how to launch hardware. Before Anker, the conventional wisdom was that you needed retail distribution to build a real consumer electronics brand. After Anker, an entire generation of hardware startups understood that Amazon could be your shelf, your focus group, and your distribution network simultaneously. And perhaps most importantly, Anker never forgot what it was. When competitors got distracted chasing hype cycles and flashy product categories, Anker kept asking one question: what does the customer actually need to work better today? That discipline, boring, relentless, unsexy discipline, is what billion-dollar companies are actually made of. Stephen Young left one of the best jobs in Silicon Valley because he saw a problem in a cable. Not a platform, not an algorithm, not a paradigm shift. A cable. The question worth sitting with is this: what overlooked, mundane problem exists right now in your industry? The kind everyone complains about and nobody has bothered to fix properly. Drop your answer in the comments. The most interesting ones always come from people who actually work in those spaces. If you want more stories about how companies built empires from unexpected starting points, this channel is exactly that. Every video, no filler, just the real story.